Hey, what's going on, everybody? All right, we are here with something special for you once again. I know you guys really like it when we go and do the shop tours. So we actually got to go do a shop tour of the Polaris facility up in Minnesota where the factory race cars are built. We got to get in there and we got to take a few pictures to show you guys the assembly line, and it's pretty cool. I've never seen a race car be built in an assembly line before in a factory like that, so it's pretty cool. It's much different than a one-off car being built here or there, or taking a production car and then turning it into a race car in a shop. This is a full race car that is built from scratch by Polaris in the US, and it's pretty cool. So I figured we would take you guys along and go show you guys how it works. So I just want to start by saying a big shout out to, and thank you to Alex Sherrill, who was able to invite me up there and was able to give me a tour of the place. So I did have to go on an airplane, which if you guys know me, I'm not a huge flyer. I'm not a big fan of it. Usually if I can drive somewhere, I will, although I have been flying a little bit more lately. But we did get on a plane and we took off. And we took off. We got in a plane in San Diego. That's where I am, if you guys don't know. So we went from San Diego. We went to Minneapolis, MSP, which is where the main facility is. And then the next day, we flew up to Roseau, which is just on the border of the United States and Canada. And that is where the Polaris facility is. So that facility there is actually where Polaris builds their military vehicles for the United States. They make the Polaris Alpha car there, which is a pretty cool car used. You can see a couple pictures of it here, used by the military all over the world in different environments. So that is the assembly line that the race cars are built on. We are going to show you guys what they have going on there. Now, Roseau is a small town. The population, I looked it up, is 2,699 as of 2024, according to the census. So 2,700 people, and about half the town works at Polaris. So it pretty much is a Polaris town. It's pretty cool. Flew into a small little airport. It's just really small, like a landing strip. There was nobody even there. We just landed on a strip in the middle of town, and that was that. So that was kind of cool. But here you go. Let's walk you through how the Polaris factory race cars are built up in Roseau, Minnesota. You can see this is the chassis. Now, this chassis is built by Technique. This chassis is built in North Carolina. So the full chassis is built and painted like you see there, and then it shows up to Minnesota, to Polaris in Roseau, for them to start assembling it. So step one is take the chassis right there. You can see it shows up on a pallet. They take it off the pallet. They use a machine, and then they load it on the assembly line. You can see that the orange thing behind it right there is actually a little remote controlled machine that'll go straight down the assembly line once it's on there. Stops at different stations along the way and gets built. So let's show you guys, let's go through some of these pictures I got here and show you what's going on. So one of the first steps is the engines. Now, these are the HO engine. If you want to know the difference between an HO engine, which is the high output engine, and a stock engine, you can tell just by looking at it. You see the blue valve cover there? The blue valve cover is an HO engine. If it's the silver color, it's a stock standard engine. It's about 25 to 30 horsepower difference between the two engines. You do have to run race gas if you're going to run the HO engines. So that's kind of the difference there. They have different pistons, cam in it, different stuff like that's changed. It's decked, things like that. So it does give you a little bit more power. You can see it comes with the full wiring harness already when it's there, so they're ready to go. They literally just have to install them in the vehicles. You can see here's one of their jigs. They have a jig set up for everything. This is the transmission jig. This is what they use when they put the clutches on to align everything and get it all set up. So they put the transmission in there, install the clutches, and then they'll get ready to put that into the vehicle. Here's a look at every little thing on this car is laid out ahead of time. This is a look at a plate that holds the skid plate bolts and washers. You can see they have a spot there for each one of them to go, so they can just easily make sure they have the right amount there. They're going to put the skid plate on, and then bam, 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 they just assemble it with the pre-laid out screws and washers there. So I thought it was pretty cool. Just building that plate and having it machined with all these slots is pretty cool to have that all set up. So you can see once they get on those orange carts there in the middle, they'll start going down the assembly line. Now, one of the first things they do is they put in the engine and the transmission, obviously, and then they start with the front suspension. They put the diff in, they put the front suspension on, and then that's one of the first stations that it goes to that does that. So that's a look at the station there. Then it goes down to the next station where it gets some more parts installed. Here's a look at another one of the jigs they have. This is a rear toe link right here. So this thing, you can see they have it, it fits in there. It has little pins that hold it on each side so that you can adjust the length, and then you preset the length. So that way you know once you have the toe length adjusted to the right length, you can put it on the car and then it's ready to go. So they put everything in the jig first, then you can see there's the toe link on the back there that's installed on the side there along the radius rod going together. So then they start building the car from there. You can see they have the radiators in now, they have the rear diff is in the car, they have the engine and the transmission in there. Obviously they did that already. The fuel cell gets put in the car, so it makes its way down. You can see in front of it there's another car being built. They do about when I was there, I think there was about 6 or 7 cars on the assembly line at one time from what I remember. Let's see. So one of the next steps, like we said, is going to be the fuel cell. So then they put the fuel cell in, and then they start installing the firewall in the car, and then they start bolting the items to the firewall. You can see the fire suppression system is there. You also see they have the shifter in there, and then they start installing the Motec systems. So these cars come with a full Motec ignition in there. So that's pretty cool. It's got displays. You can also see the steering shaft is installed at that time. And then it starts moving down the line. Start early, some of the fuel cells get plumbed in there, and then it keeps going. You can see here's the rear firewall. So the rear firewall, the clutch intake gets put on there. The air intake is on there at that point. The scoop for the radiator, all that stuff gets installed. That's a quick access panel there that gets you to where the clutch is, where the belts are. If you ever need to change a belt, anything like that, there's a quick access panel there right between the seats. So that gets installed at that station. Then moving along, you can see there's the cart again, and those carts are super cool. They adjust up and down. It's a robot, move back and forth. It's very easy. You're not like pushing anything yourself or trying to maneuver anything. It's all robotic. It's pretty cool. It's a full-on vehicle assembly line. So that's something there. It makes it real easy to work on the car. You can see now they got more of the front suspension on. They have the shocks aren't on it yet, but they have the rods in there to simulate the shocks and hold the suspension in place. They put the axles in, put the hubs on, and then they do the same on the rear. They got the trailing arms there. You can see it looks like the guy's working on the back there. So that's the next assembly line. Here's a cool picture. I like this shot. So there you can see this is the assembly line with multiple vehicles on it. So there's at least, 3 vehicles we can see right there in different stages. If you look, the one all the way in the front has tires on it, so it's almost done there. And then the one back here, it's slowly progressing their way up. So that is how they do that. Here's a look at some more of their jigs. So this is one of the alignment jigs that they use for the to get the rear alignment right here. So they put that on the hub there. It bolts to the hub. You can see it's secured in multiple different spots, so it really holds it in place well. And then it uses a laser, I think we see in the next picture here. So they're still in the middle of adjusting it right here, but that little laser dot there will line up the rear suspension for them, so then they know it's good to go. You can see it says Race Razor on that jig there, right hand. That's the right hand side of the car. And then once that little red dot gets in the spot where it's supposed to be there, they know it's good to go, and then it's aligned, and they move it down to the next station. So let's keep going here. All right, here's the next station. So the rear is now aligned. It is getting assembled. You can see there's seats being put in the car now. So we get the seats in there. They're putting some of the lights on the car. They're putting the grille on the front. They start assembling the body. You get the side panels on the car. So that's the next station there. Then it keeps going, and now you can see here's a look inside. So now the dash has been put in the car. The dash actually gets assembled outside of the car, so the Motec screen and the PDMs, all that gets put on before it gets put in the car, just because it's much easier to work on that outside the car. So that gets put on, and then it gets installed there. Then you can see, if you look on the side, the window nets are on. So the window nets get put in, and then the Sparco seats are in, and the Sparco 6-point belts are in the car as well. So the car's getting pretty done at this point. It had the full wiring harness already put in it. You can see the breakers are in the center there. Those are hooked up. One of the next stations, this thing's pretty cool. This is a robotic arm for the lug nuts. So this puts the lugs on, puts the wheels. The wheels are actually carried over by a robot, so you don't even have to lift them and put them on the car and try and do all that. It's a robot. You can kind of see it in the background there. The robot picks up the whole wheel and tire, and it comes over and it puts it on the car, and then this arm comes in and it tightens all the lugs. It does it all at the same time. You can see there's five sockets on there, so it's ready to tighten 5 bolts on the lugs at the same time. So that's all robotic. It gets torqued to spec. And yeah, also every tool along the way is all connected via Wi-Fi. So everything that they put on this car, every step is Wi-Fi monitored. So when they tighten a bolt on the suspension, the computer knows exactly what torque they tightened it to, and they use a specific tool that is made just for those couple bolts that's preset to torque settings. So everything on the car is torqued correctly. If something doesn't get torqued, the computer will throw a code and it won't allow the car to go to the next station until that comes back and it's fixed. So pretty cool process that they have here. It's not just like a bunch of people doing whatever they want to put the car together. It's a very step-by-step oriented process. And if any step gets failed or passed or missed along the way, it'll get noticed and it won't allow it to go to the next step. So you can see here the car is pretty much assembled at this point. Doesn't have the roof on it yet. It's got the wheels and tires on it. They got the limit straps going together on the front. They're not connected on the bottom yet, but they're almost ready to get connected once it gets on the ground here. So then the next step, here's the inside. Here's a look inside. So the body panels are all on. The wiring harness is pretty done. It's been connected. You can see that's your battery selector switch in the middle there. You have a few big breakers there for the fans and the electronic power steering. You have your pull handle for the fire suppression system, and you have your brake bias adjuster. That's the little knob on the dash there. You got your Motec screen in the middle, and then the PDUs, PDMs, whatever you want to call them, right underneath that control the whole car. Whole thing is Motec. Then here's one of the last settings. I like this picture too. It's kind of cool. It's like just full on assembly line. It's a cool picture. This is at the end of the line. They go up and it's kind of like a dyno there. They don't actually dyno the car, but they do run the car on those rollers. If you look on the ground there is 4 rollers there. So they'll put the car up there. They will test the functions of the car. They will fire the car up. They will make sure it goes in drive. They will do 2-wheel drive. They'll do reverse. Then they'll put in all-wheel drive, and they'll make sure that all that's working. Make sure the axles are good, the axles are seated. Make sure everything's working, and it's good to go. So once it passes all those steps, then it comes off the line, and then it gets its final inspections, and then it's ready to go to you guys. Now this is one of the coolest parts, I thought. If you look right there on the VIN plate, look in the bottom of that, in the middle, it says assembled in USA. So that is pretty cool. You are buying a race car on a production line that is built in the United States of America. Of course, it uses components from all over the world, but it is assembled right here in Minnesota, in the big, huge town of Roseau, Minnesota. And it's cool. It was cool to go up there and see like a small town, and everybody's really into Polaris. I mean, we went out to lunch, and the restaurant bar we went to for lunch had everybody was wearing Polaris shirts in it, like the guys behind the counter, and the people serving you had Polaris shirts on. So Polaris is a big supporter of the town. It's like I said, at least half the town works for Polaris, so pretty cool. And that's where they build their snowmobiles at, which makes sense because it's right on the border of Canada. It gets like negative, I think the record temp there is negative 14 degrees. It's gotten up there, so it gets pretty cold up there in old Roseau there. So it was definitely a cool experience. And you know, big shout out to Alex and everyone for getting me over there and getting a look at the assembly line. You know, I wasn't able to show you guys a full video tour of the whole place like we do of some of the other places. Obviously, it's a little bit more tied down, and you know, we got to show you guys what we can. But it was super cool to just be able to show you guys that and kind of give you an idea on how these race cars are being built. It was cool to see. You know, it's everybody that worked there seemed like they were pretty happy and pretty into it. Seemed like they enjoyed working on a race car. That is where they build some of their other vehicles, so they swap over the assembly line twice a year to build the race vehicles for Factory Pro R car. So there you go. That is our latest Fishgistics shop tour. I know it's a quick one, but I know a lot of you guys have been asking and you wanted to see what a true factory assembly line looks like for race cars, and there you go. That's it. So here's my shameless plug at the end. If any of you guys are interested in buying one of those cars, just let me know. The next orders will be going in a couple months. We actually got cars showing up right now at the shop, and there's going to be a lot of these things out in the desert racing with you guys soon. There's over 40 of them sold already, and you're going to see over 40 of these things out in the desert within a couple weeks. So pretty cool. All right, if you guys have any ideas for the next shop tour, let me know. But thanks to Polaris for letting us come up there and take a look. Stay tuned, and you never know where we'll go next.